Hey guys, so I have a great story time. There's no way that I can do it in less than 3 or 4 videos, but it will be worth it. It's a fucking ride, but trust me, it's gonna be worth it. So this is the story of the time that the police thought that my brother and my sister had been kidnapped and that my mother had been murdered. Now, were any of these things true? No. Was it logical for the police to think that? Yes. So I was in school, chilling in middle school one day. Actually, I think it was 9th grade. I think I'd just gone into high school. I was just chilling. And all of a sudden, this detective comes by my school and they call me to the office. And I thought that it was my social worker, because anytime I get called to the office, it's usually the social worker. And instead, it's this detective guy. And I was like, what's up? And he's like, I need you to come to your house with me. And I was like, my group home or my house? And he's like, I need you to come to your house with me. So I knew it was my mom and my brother and my sister. And I was like, what's up? And he was like, we can't talk about it until we get. So the detective is like, I'm trying to stop starting all of my videos with so. The detective will tell me nothing from the whole ride, from Asheville High School, down River Road, past the train tracks, up the back way to Pisgah View Apartments. So it wasn't that long. It was like maybe 15 minutes tops, but it seemed like a really, really long time, and he would not answer any of my questions, and I had a million questions. And also, I had left my stuff. Like, I had walked down, and I was like, hey, I need to go back to class, and he was like, nah, we'll get your stuff later. So I was like, okay, this is a serious situation, so I knew something was up. And we get there, and there is crime scene, people everywhere, all the people in the projects are standing around, like, it is a big motherfucking deal. And I was just like, oh shit, this is definitely not some fucking manipulation that my mom has pulled where she's convinced this off-duty cop that something's going on, like something legit is going on. I immediately am like, okay, this is not a fucking game, because my mom was always running a motherfucking game. So I was like, this is not a game, this is serious. Like, my mom's not on that level where she can get, like, crime scene techs out here. Like, this is legit. So I walk up to the front door, and they have it all blocked off, and there were so many people, like, yelling, like, Shauna, oh my God, what's going on? Is everything okay with your mama, girl? And just so many people yelling, and I'm just, like, so, like, what the fuck is going on? I walk in, and the detective, and the place is fucking ransacked. Now, my mom lived in a hoarder house to begin with, so the house wasn't clean to start, but, like, drawers had been dumped and emptied out, and, like, the kitchen, all the cabinets, all the stuff in the pantry was on the floor. Like, it was fucking ransacked. Like, there's no other way to explain it. The place was ransacked. And I went in, and the guys were like, this might be really hard for you to see, but we really need you to help us here. We're trying to establish what's happened. The detective takes me, sits me on the couch, and says, your mother is missing, your brother is missing, your sister are missing. We cannot find any of them. Your mother did not show up to any of her appointments. Your sister did not show up to daycare. Your brother did not show up to school. Do you know where they are? Have you been in any contact with them? And I was like, nah, I talked to my mom a couple days ago, but I haven't talked to her, like, in the last few days, no. And they were like, okay, there's a crime scene upstairs. There's a lot of blood. It might be really hard for you to see. I need you to come up there. And I was like, where? Where is this crime scene? And he said, it's in your mother's bedroom. And I was like, oh, bitch, do you mean the bed? Because my mom is like a hippie, and she free bleeds into that bed all month long, every single month for her period. So if that's the crime scene, it ain't. So at this point, the detective looks at me and is like, I'm sorry, what? She what? And I was like, yeah, my mom, she's kind of a hippie. She does this thing. It's called free bleeding. She free bleeds into her mattress. It's a thing. And he was like, are you serious? I guess he'd never heard of it. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm dead serious. And at this point, there are crime scene people everywhere. They are taking fingerprints from doors. They are fucking searching with tape. I mean, they are literally, at this point, in their mind, it is a murder and kidnap, and they are taking it that seriously. But at this point, they've all stopped. They've all stopped what they're doing. They're all standing there. They're all looking at each other. They're all looking at me. And their brain is like, she couldn't make this shit up. Like, she couldn't, this is not something that a 13-year-old child would make up. She has to be telling us the truth, which means that this is not a fucking crime scene. What the fuck? By now, 99.9% of the crime scene people have stopped doing what they're doing. And there are legit 20 of them. There's 3 upstairs in Serenity's room. There's 3 in George's room. There's 3 in my mom's room. There's 3 in my room. There's 3 at the front door. There's 3 at the back door. And there's a bunch of fucking people outside. So, like, they were really doing their due diligence and trying to find fingerprints and searching tape and Q-tips and everything. But they've all now stopped. And they're just standing there next to, like, what the fuck? They're just standing there. They're all just standing there because their brains, when they saw that bed with that amount of blood, their brains immediately said, that's an extreme amount of blood. No one can survive that. Losing that amount of blood, that person is dead. And in truth, I'm sitting there going, no, she's not dead. She's just severely mentally ill. And yes, this is my everyday life. I live in this house with a severely mentally ill woman who stays up in her bed and bleeds all the time. This is normal for us. Yes, this house is always this dirty. Crime scene people have stopped doing what they're doing. Like, they're literally all just standing, and all the guys and girls that were upstairs have slowly come downstairs, and they're all just kind of standing around in the living room, like, looking at me, literally dumbfounded, because their brain is like, there's no way she's lying. There's no way that this 13-year-old child is making this up. There's no way that this 13-year-old child murdered this bitch upstairs and did away with the body and is now coming up with this as her cover story, which to them would have actually made more sense in their brain. But the truth was just like, they were shook. They were all fucking shook. And the detective is still like, I believe you, but why does the house look like this? And I was like, my mom's a hoarder. The house always looks like this. It's a little dirtier than usual, but it always looks like this. And he was like, no. Detective is very kind, but losing patience with me and reluctant to believe me. So all the crime scene people have left. Like, they've all just left. They're just like, fuck this. This is some fucked up dysfunctional shit, but we don't belong here, so we're leaving. So they all left. And it was just me and detective guy on the couch, and then homicide detective guy. And then I assume his partner, who stayed over there, and I never talked to him at all, but he stayed there the whole time. And I'm assuming that he's his partner, but I could be wrong about that. So detective guy says, okay, so I get what you're saying about the room. I get what you're saying about the bed. That makes sense. And I get what you're saying about the house, and that makes sense. But, like, where are they? Where are your mom and your dad and your mom and your brother and your sister? And I was like, I don't know, homie. Have you talked to our social worker? This man looks at me and says, you have a social worker? I say, how the fuck do you not know we have a social worker? We're in and out of custody every weekend. So he's like, oh, I did not know you had a social worker. I will need to call them.